Yes, Chef.
Alrighty, we are back here, study hall, rocking and rolling in the cuisine and country of Italy. We're talking about Parmesan cheese. We're talking about olive oil. We're talking about the influences of different regions and people coming into Italian cuisine and showing what we get. How many types of pasta do you even think that there are out there? What do we think about, right? Spaghetti, right? Penne. What else? Lasagna. Ravioli, tortellini.
Rice.
Well, we're just talking about pasta.
Oh, okay.
Gnocchi.
Gnocchi. Okay, gnocchi. What do you think about gnocchi? What's that? Linguine.
Fettuccine.
Fettuccine, right? What if I told you that there are like hundreds of different cuts and styles of pasta? Orecchiette, looks like an ear, okay?
Bow tie.
Bow tie, also known as farfalle, which it means butterfly, all right? So you'll find that a lot of the terminology for these pastas are indicative of the shape that they represent. Farfalle, bow tie, means butterfly, and it looks like a butterfly. Let me pull this up for you guys so you can get some visual clues here. And also, I know Chef and I were talking about pasta grannies. We of course want to talk about the pasta grannies because they are awesome. And where is my shooters? I have lost my pasta. Where are you, little pasta? I lost my pasta page, so let me just get a quick visual here, just to start, and then you will see where we're going here.
Jump in a little bit here, guys. There are going to be just countless different types of pastas. For example, you're going to have the ones that can only be made by hand, the ones that have to be extruded through the copper little things, which actually adds a different flavor. You have the cylinder ones like the penne, the rigatoni. You have strips, the fettuccine, the linguinis, sheets like the lasagna we're talking about, and then specialty shapes such as the fusilli, the one that kind of goes around itself. The farfalle, which Chef was talking about, is a little bit butterfly shape. They're just infinite possibilities. And these people take this stuff very serious. Depending on what type of sauce you make, the vessel that you're going to be eating it with is going to be that pasta. Very similar to like tortillas in Mexico, essentially, or bread in other regions where they use flatbread and stuff to scoop up their food. So the sauce and the pasta are kind of going to go with each other. You're not going to use something that is not going to hold that the sauce very well in terms of being able to just kind of carry it to you. So that even is taken into account with this stuff.
Exactly. Somebody mentioned gnocchi, and I want to bring this up because there's some cool history about gnocchi. And first of all, you will see in your equipment for this week the gnocchi board that you need, which has lots of ridges on it. Why do we think that there are ridges on gnocchi? I'm going to pull up a visual for anybody who does not know what gnocchi looks like or has never had it, which is okay, right? So we see that it has all these little ridges here, right? You can, if you don't have a gnocchi board, you can use a fork to execute this. What do we think those ridges are there for?
To hold the sauce.
Sauce, exactly, right? That's going to hold that sauce on. Typically, gnocchi is formed from potatoes, but it can also be made from chestnut flour. Remember, potatoes, where do they come from, right? Let's just think about this. Somebody's mentioning this, sounds so Japanese. Where do we think pasta came from? Chef Jerry dropped a hint of this a few weeks ago. Where did pasta originate?
China.
Asia, right? Pulling those noodles, right? And now all of a sudden we've got all these beautiful noodles here over in Italy. Different shapes, different sizes, different thicknesses, all right? Dependent upon, as Chef Jerry was saying, the specific type of sauce and pasta are gonna pair together. If you have a very heavy, thick, rich sauce, what type of pasta do you think is gonna go best with that?
Rigatoni.
Really thin capellini? Is that gonna hold up to that thick pasta sauce?
Rigatoni.
Rigatoni, yeah, great suggestion. Tubular, right? What's going in through those tubes, right? What about bucatini? A little bit of that sauce gets sucked inside, right? Because you've got this larger pasta, right? It's gonna be thicker and it needs something with some body to hold up into it. if you got a beautiful light tomato sauce, arrabbiata, right? Spicy. What do we want? We want a lighter pasta, right? To carry that. Another really important tip, which I'm sure you already heard about this, but when you're cooking pasta, you must toss your pasta with your sauce, all right? You do not just pour pasta on a plate and dump sauce on top of it. That is not coating the pasta. What you want to always do when you're cooking pasta, reserve some of that cooking water, right? That has starch in it, all right? Because as we cook pasta, starch is released into the water, all right? That's why it gets cloudy and slippery and slimy. You want to reserve a little bit of that pasta sauce. So that way, when you pull your pasta out, right? And you're going to then saute it, you've got a pan of sauce cooking away. You're gonna add a little bit of that starchy pasta water and add your pasta, your cooked pasta in there and cook it together. And you're gonna finish cooking that pasta in that pan because it's gonna soak up a little bit more of that sauce and it's really gonna start to cling to that pasta. When you take a bite of pasta, don't you wanna have sauce on it? Or do you just wanna bite into a dry cooked noodle? All right, you want that sauce coating it. All right, these are about techniques and how to execute, how to understand how to cook properly. All right, pesto sauce. Pesto comes from the Ligurian region. All right, I'm going to pull this visual key up here again for you to see where Liguria is. Liguria is on the coast. All right, of next to Genoa. And here we go. There, oh, wrong one. Got too many screen shares up here. I guess it's this one. Yep. Perfect. All righty, back in business here. So regions, this is Liguria up here. Liguria, famous for, that's where Genova is, also pesto alla genovese. All right, we've got a beautiful photo of pesto alla genovese right here. This is typically served with a pasta called trophy or gemelli. Okay, again, like Chef Jerry said, often we're either talking about extruded, right, or handmade, right? What are the difference between different types of pasta? What are the basic ingredients of pasta? And are there two different variations? And do we think that the type of flour that we use is going to have an impact on that texture of your pasta? What do you guys think?
Semolina flour?
Semolina flour, all right, great. Semolina flour is going to be used for a specific type of pasta, right? We'll look at the back of your packages, right? Eggs, baked pasta is going to add another type of pasta. Egg pasta is predominantly seen in the northern regions, okay? Remember, heavier diet, richer, more dairy products, all right? You're also going to have a different texture from eggs, right? Eggs add tenderness. If you're just mixing water and flour, right, together, it's going to be a little bit more tough. That is traditionally how your dried pastas, now not saying all dried pastas, but most dried pastas that you're seeing and purchasing in the store do not contain eggs, right? That's going to be flour, semolina flour, and water. Durum semolina flour and water, all right? And then it gets processed and extruded through either brass or other extrusion methods, or use that beautiful old pasta machine for fresh pasta, which is usually going to contain eggs, right? It's going to add tenderness. Okay, but again, we're looking at the specific type and style of pasta that goes with a specific type of sauce. Oftentimes also what you'll see is pesto. Pesto contains pignole, which are pine nuts, Parmesan cheese, and pecorino cheese. It's a combination of the two. All right, you're gonna have lots of basil, garlic, olive oil, and just a little bit of acid, usually coming from lemons, okay? Lemons also grow in this beautiful region of Liguria. All right, right along the coast here, okay? Who's ever heard of a liqueur that comes from lemons? Does anybody know what that's called?
Limoncello.
Limoncello, yes, okay. So we've got lemons coming from there. You take lemons, fresh lemons growing from the trees. Amalfi Coast is also known for this as well. And you mix it with sugar. No, just the outsides, none of the actual lemon juice, right? That's going to be used in another process for another drinks or other utilization. And you let that sit with sugar for about 15 days. All right. And in the end, with alcohol, right? So you take pure grain alcohol like vodka, a neutral base spirit, lemon, sugar. Let it sit for 15 days and you've got this beautiful limoncello. Okay. what other types of, we've talked about wine, right? We're going to talk about, there's tons of different wine growing regions. What else? What other type of alcohol is consumed in Italy?
Chef, if I could just jump in real quick before we move on to the different alcohols.
Yeah.
Just to make another food connection for you guys, lemons aren't native to Italy either. They come from the northern part of India, which we're going to visit later on. But again, just ingredients coming from different places, and they become just staples in these countries. Just imagine the cuisine now without the lemon. Again, without the tomato, without the pasta from Asia. Like, just what do you have?
Exactly. You're going to start finding that all these cuisines would be nothing without people moving, bringing spices, bringing seeds, bringing their home country dish, right? The dish that they made specifically from their land, right? This is how food is innovative and gets creative. All right, so the other type of liquor is grappa. Grappa is distilled alcohol from the process of making wine. All right, I'm going to show some photos really quickly, run through these of the process of making wine that I was fortunate enough to be a part of in Italy. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about of the history and some more of these delicious food items that we can find in Italy that are specific to certain regions. All right, so here we go, Italia, and we're looking at wine making. All right, a vineyard. All right, this is what the vineyard looks like, the harvest, vendemmia. All right. You're going to be going around picking up all of these grapes from the trellises. All right. And as they get processed, let's hope I can work through this. I'm so bad at this Facebook. I don't use it. This is like since 2007. Sorry, guys. It's been a while. These are some of the lovely growers of a local vineyard, right? That I was fortunate enough to live on. It is labor intensive. There's a reason why high quality wine is expensive, because you do not have machines going in and shaking the grapes off of this. You are going in and hand picking this. All right. And steep areas, growing areas. All right. The sweetness, they have to reach a certain level of sweetness to be harvested. All right. This is a small family run business where you're going to be taking all of these grapes that have been crushed, pulled off their stems and into a barrel for aging. Right. This is part of the processing. We've got a large press. We've got barrels. That is wine in there, just getting ready. It's going to get mixed. This is where you put all of your grapes into this piece of equipment, and what shoots out, your wane goes down and your stems pop out the other side. All right. This is a cellar, an aging area. As you can see, lots of big old empty bottles there. This is really traditional in most rural areas around Italy. Everybody is, growing their own vegetables and making their own wine. All right. That's that beautiful wine, right? Those are just grapes sitting in there and starting the fermentation process. All right. You're waiting till the sugar content gets the right point. And then next comes more pressing. That grape juice, right? Fresh grape juice is just pouring out of there. This is all very basic. All right. This is the old school way. Obviously, when you're looking in big manufacturing, you've got huge metal sills. This is just the older style. This is distilling. All right. Distillery, which the first distilling actually happened in a surprising area, which we'll talk about later. But distillery, all right, distilling alcohol. You're going to boil these stems, and what happens is evaporation, right? The steam and everything boils off, and what gets siphoned off down here is pure alcohol. All right. Grappa is formed from the natural grapes. It can also come from, then be infused with honey, walnuts, all these beautiful things that are growing within that region. All right. Another thing I want to talk, does anybody have any question? Eric, I see your hand is up.
Oh yeah, I had a question just about what type of pasta should we be using for the ragu?
Ooh. Well, I know I have my personal favorite. Chef Jerry, what do you personally, I'm going to just mute this other person. What do we think? We've got, now we talked about pasta sizes and shapes, right? So ragu is going to be thick, right? And meaty. So what type of pasta? Rigatoni would be a great suggestion.
Ziti.
Yeah. What else? What about, you could
Ziti.
even.
Fettuccine.
Fettuccine. Yep, you could do fettuccine. You could make your own homemade pasta, fresh pasta. If you want a little bit more practice, I highly suggest that.
Yeah,
again,
chef, I was actually gonna try to make my own pasta, but what type of pasta should I try to make?
I would go like a tagliatelle. Tagliatelle is a little bit wider of a noodle, so it's It's wider than fettuccine. Tagliatelle is about 3/4 of an inch wide. That's what I would go with. Chef, what's your personal fave for a ragu bolognese? Tagliatelle, or what do you like?
Something that can pick it up, like even the cylindrical ones are going to be fantastic. Obviously, you're not going to be able to make those at home.
The ragu, yeah, the rigatoni or whatever.
Penne, something that sauce can just go into. You take a bite out of it and it just explodes in your mouth. As Chef said, just anything thicker. You can even go ahead and do a lasagna with it. The lasagna, when you just kind of press into it and take it with your fork, it's going to have a lot of layers into it that are going to be able to hold that beautiful, just robust sauce. So what you're looking for is something thicker, something that's going to not tear when you try to kind of come up with it on your fork and stuff. Yeah, so definitely.
So can I do lasagna? Can I make lasagna noodles and stuff like that?
Heck yeah. When we always want you, if you guys want to go above and beyond, we'd love to see your work. We just need those required photos for the production steps of executing that ragu al bolognese, your polenta, as well as your focaccia. And then if you want to make lasagna, you want to make fresh pasta, toss that ragu with it, go for it, enjoy it, layer it up, and have fun with it.
For you, like there.
Okay, that's definitely okay.
Chef, if you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen real quickly. So I did have a student do that before, and they made a squid ink pasta, and they kind of did this with the ragu that we had this class. This was an old student from this course, though. So they made the exact same thing, and they used basically their own pasta here. So you can do so much stuff with it. Really, the possibilities are endless. We want you guys to get creative as possible. And again,
Okay, hold on.
we want to see you guys practicing these presentation techniques. Practice with your garnishing. Practice with just putting your food on a plate and making it look nice. It's one of the most important things. The first thing that we eat with is our eyes. We've all been to those restaurants where you're sitting, you're waiting to order. The waiter or the waitress passes by with some food, and you're like, hey, wait, what was that? Like, I want what just went that way. That looked good. So making sure that your food looks as good as it tastes is super important. If you have something that looks super sloppy, just that first impression from that customer is gonna be like, oh man, like if this is what it looks like, it's not gonna, they're already in a negative just kind of headspace towards your food. So they're gonna look for any reason to not like your food. It's very important that we just make the food look as good as it tastes. It just really elevates it for the customer. All those pictures on Instagram and stuff, right before people start eating, they start snapping pictures of their food. If it looks horrible, they're not going to take pictures of it. So you want your food out there, and just you eat with your eyes first. So
100%, chef. Yes. I'm going to show a few more photos of food, and then I'm going to go a little bit more into the etiquette and some specialities within the Italian region. And then we can, continue to talk about Italian favorites or whatever like that. But let me just show you a few more beautiful photos here of specific dishes from and around Italy. All right. One of my favorites, trippa alla Fiorentina. All right. So we know that the main Fiorentina, okay, it means in the style of Florence, Firenze, all right, which is located right up there. Huge center of history and culture. Again, remember, Italy was a bunch of small kingdoms before being all united together. They actually all have their own very different dialect within Italian language. They don't speak, the present day Italian language is not what it sounded like before. You had all these different regions speaking their own dialect of a version of Italian cuisine. Somebody from down south here is not going to understand somebody from the north. All right, it's as simple as that. That's why Italian, I'm going to send out this cool article about American Italian and why we call things like mozzarella. And, they've got this weird way of saying some Italian words, but it's because of this, all these different immigrants coming together and kind of blending that. So trippa, remember, we're talking about a country, and most countries, based on offal, right? Offal are parts of the animals, not the major cuts. The major cuts are going to be used for the wealthy, right? Those are for the rich, the kings, the lords. They're eating those heavier cuts, those bigger prime cuts of muscles. So you've got a lot of offal, which are intestines, right? Lung, heart, tripe stomach lining. All right. This is one of those versions, tripa alla fiorentini. This is absolutely rich, delicious. You have to know how to cook offal. It's going to cook down low and slow. You have to do a lot of great preparation to get that beautiful texture out of there, but it is one of my favorites. We go into porchetta. Porchetta, you probably heard a lot about. This is going to have one of your major cuts here. That is crispy, beautiful pork skin out there on the outside, crunchy, delicious. You're going to take that. It's pretty much your belly and everything else going in there, seasoned up. Your most basics are just going to have some garlic, olive oil, salt, pepper, not a ton of filler. Obviously, some are going to have a little more herbs placed in, rolled up, slow cooked, and then crunchy and delicious. All right. Another beautiful one here is, let me just show this. Arancini, this is mentioned in the reading as well. It says that it's an unusual dish. I would say that it's not unusual, my personal opinion. It's not unusual. What do? So you cooked risotto, right? And you made risotto for your family. And now you've got leftover risotto. And, you know, a lot of people don't want to eat the same thing day in and day out. So you've got to transform it. And what do? You take that cold day old risotto and you transform it, right? Say you're at a restaurant and you've got a risotto special on. Where did my thing go? My share screen. There we go. What you do next is you take that beautiful risotto and you stuff it with either some meat or cheese or even a ragu. Actually, down south in Sicily and Calabria regions, you put a little ragu in there. So that is risotto stuffed with, like I said, ham, cheese, vegetable sauce. Deep fry that, and voila, you've got this crunchy, beautiful risotto ball that is just gorgeous and succulent and tasty. All right, dip it in some beautiful sauce, and you are in heaven. And now you've just transformed a day-old risotto, right? Because it's not always the best thing to reheat totally risotto, right? You want to par cook that when you're talking about restaurant execution. Your risotto takes a long time to cook, right? So you're not going to cook that all the way through in the restaurant. But say you've got a batch and you did cook it all the way through, you didn't sell it. Well, you want to transform that. You want to still make a sellable item. This is going to be sold in a lot of bakeries and like quick lunch spots, all right, that you're going to hop into, grab one of these, and they can be really large. They can be almost the size of a softball, all right, or smaller, you know, when you think about different presentation size. Another beautiful thing that's not mentioned in the reading, induja, the world of cured meats is why I didn't, there's so much to talk about. You know, the list never stops. It keeps going, right? Chef, I know you feel the same way. Induja though, induja. All right. Induja is a spreadable, spicy salami from the Calabrian region. All right. Calabria, down south. All right. Spicy. We have a lot more spicy flavor profiles coming down in the southern regions, right? Hotter climate. Chilies are more adaptable. This is hung and spread on bread, and it is heaven. You'll see it. It's pretty trendy now. It's popping up on a lot of different menus these days. Induja is kind of a cool thing. If you ever find it yourself, get your hands on it. It is a delicacy. Higher fat content, not fully cured in the sense of like that linguiça or chorizo that we're using, hard salamis that are really cured for long times and are dense. This is spreadable, has more fat and a lot more paprika and chili. All right. Another beautiful ingredient from the southern region. It is like the queen of onions, all right? And this is called cipolla di tropea. Again, a southern region product, pretty much only, back in the day, it was only available down there. Now you're gonna see some higher end restaurants getting these imported. They look like a torpedo and they're sweet, bright, crisp. They're not as aggressive as our typical red onion that we're familiar with. And the greens are edible as well, as we know, scallions and things of that nature. Maybe this is another onion you may have heard of or seen on different. That is not what we want. Cipollini onion. Hello, what is this? Some guy? We don't know who this guy is. Cipollini onion. Hello, people.
We don't want to eat that guy.
No, we do not. Cipollini onion, though. It's a Mario, yeah. We've got these beautiful sweet cipollini onions, small, delicate, great for braising, grilling. They're really sweet. They hold their structure and they're quite stunning. Again, so many different varietals of different onions and fruits and nuts. Speaking of fruits and nuts, we're going to see a large influence, like I said, hazelnuts, walnuts, and almonds. Hazelnuts and walnuts grow more in the north. And then down south, you've got more of an influence of almonds. And in Sicily, you've got a really big growing area of pistachios, famous Sicilian grown pistachios, very expensive, very delicate in flavor. You're also going to see some sweeter profiles coming down in the southern regions, more nuts, more sweets, and this is coming from that Arabic influence of the utilization of nuts and dried fruits in that cuisine. All right. When we hop into another bit of dining etiquette, family is always present, right? La familia, okay? You're eating big family meals together. You're gathering on Sunday. Breakfast, really pretty typically light. You're gonna hit coffee. So one interesting fact, you know how we all drink, a lot of people drink a cappuccino, right? Cappuccino has milk added to it, right? In Italy, you will rarely find anybody that drinks cappuccino after about 11 a.m., maybe noon. Cappuccino will be consumed in the morning, right? So you're not hitting your coffee fix hard. You're not going straight caffeine in the morning. You're easing in a little bit more gentle with milk. In the afternoon, and especially after eating dinner, you're gonna have espresso. Espresso is not, it's a short little shot, right? Express. You just pop that back. Sometimes it's going to be served with a little lemon rind to bring out some different notes. But I remember just walking into a coffee bar. They're just people who stand up, order an espresso. You let it cool down for a second. You shoot it back, and you're on your road. You do not take time to savor that coffee. It is in and out. All right. So very unique and different beverage consumption of coffee in Italy. Breakfast usually consists of some little, maybe a biscotti, some bread with marmalade, jams, local jams, and some coffee, right? That's going to be pretty typical for your breakfast. Your lunch and dinner are going to be your major, meal points. Again, different approaches here. Obviously, if it's a Sunday weekend, you're going to have multiple courses, right? They have a very different structure where they go from primi, secondi, and moving through your different your approaches to the compared to like French cuisine, right? You're going in with an antipasto, right? We know what that antipasto is. We talked about little bites, right? Cured, pickled, marinated. Whether they're artichokes. Artichokes are really popular in Italy as well. Olives, things of this nature. And then you move into your primo course, right? Your first course. That's going to be either your pastas, your risotto, maybe a soup. It depends upon the style of your restaurant, how many courses you're going to typically sit down to, but also something to think about. We think, whoa, a first course is pasta. Well, guess what? They're not eating, a half a pound of pasta in that setting. It is a very small portion, very small. All right. The next, you're going to be moving into your proteins, right? In some establishments, you're going to roll through all of these. You're going to start with pasta, then you're going to go into risotto, then you're going to go into fish, then meat, okay, and then dessert. But for a more condensed one, you're just going to move into your first course, which is going to be your starch base. Then you're going to move into your protein, which is either going to be fish or meat or poultry. And then your contorni or your side vegetables, right? So we're thinking about, again, grilled or marinated, a lot of garlic highlighted in there. And then, of course, moving into your finished desserts, the dolce. Some people were talking about tiramisu, right? You've got zablione. You also have brutte buoni, which are these ugly but good is what it translates to. These crunchy, beautiful cookies that are just fabulous. Zablione is like sabayon, right? Which is egg based, like a custard. It's warm, it's whipped, and you add some beautiful liqueurs in there as well to get this nice sweet note. And oftentimes served with just fresh fruits, right? So it's creamy, it's light, it's beautiful. Let's see what else. I'm trying to think of other beautiful deliciousness. Few other things to think about. When bread, you do not cut your bread. Honestly, most places that I would eat at, you have a loaf of bread on the table for everybody, and you break off some. And you sit there and you eat and enjoy. All right. And you don't put butter on your bread. You dip it in olive oil, right? It's great. And Parmesan. And last thing, I just want to touch. You know what? I'm just going to send out the information on food fraud. And if you're interested in it, you can read about it. It's very interesting to me about the quality, integrity of Parmesan as well as olive oil. There's just not enough time in the day to talk about all these beautiful little ins and outs of each country. I could talk for hours and hours about all of this beautiful food. Obviously, it's delicious. And if you find a passion for a specific type of cuisine as we move through these continue to move through these weeks, dive deeper, learn more about that. Think about, if you're like, I mean, I do love pasta, start looking into different shapes and styles of pasta, where are they used, what sauces are they paired with, and going back, just thinking about coastal regions, where your country, what part of the country you're located in is going to indicate a lot about what cuisine you're eating. Where is it influenced by, right? Are you eating more seafood? Are you eating more meat, right? Where are your cheeses coming from? Balsamic vinegar of Modena, again, another region. This is a protected area where only these products can be made and called that, and they get a stamp of approval on that product, all right? Anything else is not the authentic version. There are gonna be shortcuts that are coming from there, all right? And then of course, we cannot forget about pizza. Again, pizza did not originate from Italy at all. What is pizza? Now, I'm not talking about American style deep dish, all right? I'm talking about the thin flatbread. What did I just say? Flatbread. Where do we think flatbreads came from? Pita, you're getting close. Yeah. Greece, getting close. Middle East. Yeah, right. Unleavened bread, right? Flatbreads with some beautiful toppings, right? You dive into, there's so much to dive into in regards to pizza and different types, toppings. Do you have tomato sauce on it, right? Well, wait, when did tomatoes get interested in Italian cuisine, right? Do we think all pizza had tomato sauce? What about white sauce base? What about no sauce? What about olive oil and some vegetables on there? And then, of course, let's not forget about the beautiful fish, garum, all right? Fish sauce, we're gonna be talking about this later. I'm going to tie it back later in those courses, but I want you to know that you heard it here first. Fish sauce, not only an Asian condiment, it goes back to Greece and Italy and actually all of Europe. Garum is a fermented fish sauce. Who used soy sauce? Who used Worcestershire sauce? Yeah, anchovies, right? Fermented anchovies, right? Soy sauce, fish sauce, Worcestershire sauce, English sauce. These are all flavor bomb umami, and they are all derived from fermented fish. All right, salty, funky, and adds incredible depth to your dishes. Does anybody have any questions? Chef Jerry, is there anything you want to add? I know I've just been talking like a maniac. I had a few too many espressos, guys. Get y'all caffeined up.
No, you're good. I just wanted to throw out to them. I'm sure they've all watched a bunch of movies and stuff where every point where they show an Italian person, they're carrying a baguette. And the reason for that is in Italy, there are 10 billion baguettes that are baked every single year. And that's billion with a B. So they bake a lot of breads over there. So that's why there's that not misconception, but that portrayal of Italian people with their baguettes smacking people in the head with them. Just a lot of bread making over there.
Tons of bread. Bread and pasta are life. All right, class. If you have questions, Chef Jerry and I are here. Tons to explore. We were only just started on our adventure. So reach out with questions, start sourcing ahead of time. Low and slow is the name of the game. And have a beautiful week.
I have one quick question. I'm sorry. On one of the dishes, we had a choice of bacon or something else. I looked at the recipe and it had like instructions at the top and instructions at the bottom. If we do the bake, was we advised to do the baked or we could
for
do
the polenta. You're talking
Yes.
about the polenta?
Yes.
It's really up to you. You can make the soft polenta or the grilled polenta. The grilled polenta or pan-seared polenta is going to take longer time because you're going to have to still go through the hot process of cooking polenta, but then you're going to pour that into a form. You're going to let it set, and then you're either going to pan-sear or grill it afterwards. It's a different texture. Polenta itself is very similar to grits. That's also the thing. If you cannot find polenta itself, you want to use a coarse grind. Coarsely ground grits. All right, corn. That's going to replicate it, not identically, but it's going to be close enough. but you're going to cook that until it gets beautifully soft, like Chef Jerry was talking about. It's going to get soft and creamy. Essentially, we're talking about a porridge. It should not have the same body as grits.
Okay, thanks for clearing that up for me, because I would have had to go back to listen to just for that.
Yep. Either one you can have fun with. Chef Jerry, which is
Okay.
your preferred method? Soft polenta or hard polenta?
I like the grilled polenta. I like the flavor that it adds.
Definitely. I hear you. I'm soft polenta all the way, loaded up with tons of Parmesan and butter, and just get down on it.
I'm not a huge fan of those textures, honestly. Like it gets a little bit too much for me right away. So it's just like anything super cheesy, super buttery. I'm like 2 bites in, I'm like, cool, I'm over it. Like,
oh, that's why you're skinny. That's why you're so skinny, Chef. You lucky dog. You lucky dog. But definitely I agree with Chef Jerry. The grilled polenta or pan-seared polenta is going to be a bit lighter. It's going to add some different notes to it compared to that creamy porridge-like polenta consistency that you get from the soft polenta. Shelly.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Chefs, I can only get the round polenta here. Or are we talking about we need to make our own polenta?
You need to cook polenta. That's instant polenta. The stuff that comes in like a plastic container that looks like
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pre-cooked polenta. You don't want to get that. Like I said, if you can't find polenta in its form, use a stone ground, coarsely ground corn grits.
Yeah, I can't find that here. It was like the chorizo. I could only get the beef chorizo here, which was the wrong chorizo for the last one. So I only have 3 stores here in Grand Forks, North Dakota, and it's a Walmart, a Hugo's, and then we have a specialty store, but you can very rarely get to that when they're open.
I would, yeah, Chef, do you want to take that?
Am I sharing the right screen? I know I've seen this one at Walmart before, the Red Mill one. This brand is something that you should see pretty much anywhere. But basically what you're looking for is this stuff here. Some of them are going to say yellow cornmeal. Some of them are going to say polenta. Some of them might even say grits. But really all 3 of these products would work for this. With things like, we did discuss it a little bit early on here, but with things like grits and the cornmeal, you're going to see that they're going to take a little bit longer to cook because the grind isn't as fine as what we're looking for in the polenta. But if you're unable to find something that just says polenta, anything that says grits or cornmeal will definitely get the job done. Just cook it for a little bit longer. With those, you're still going to see some graininess in the final product, but when you take a bite out of it, you should not feel the crunch. You shouldn't feel any graininess. It should feel smooth on the palate, but to the eye, it's still going to look grainy.
What is the texture of the cornmeal? Is that coarse also?
The cornmeal is going to be a little bit of a thicker little piece of corn as opposed to the polenta that's going to be super, super fine. The polenta is going to look like dust essentially. And then the cornmeal and the grits are going to have a little bit more texture to them.
Okay, but you said, wow, this is a lot. So she said that the cornmeal will be, the grits will be coarse, but if you use, wait a minute, the grits will be coarse. So what would the cornmeal say? It's not just regular cornmeal, right? Correct.
Yeah, it should just be regular cornmeal. It's all the same thing. 3 of these are the exact same product. The main difference between them is just how much they're ground down. The polenta is going to be super, super fine. The cornmeal is going to be somewhere in the middle. And then the grits are going to be a little bit thicker. So you should see like tiny, tiny little triangles essentially in them. Just kind of beat up corn.
Okay.
As I said, ideally, if you can find something that says polenta on it, that would be your best bet. If not, then the other 2 will work. Just know that you're going to have to cook those just a little bit longer.
Okay. Thank you.
All righty. Awesome. Reach out with questions. We are here to help and enjoy the process. Like Chef Jerry said, pour yourself a little glass of wine while you're letting that beautiful ragu simmer away, or use the one of the substitutes that are going to be on the list for non-alcoholic substitutions for cooking that we're going to be sending out to you and posting on the class page. All righty. Thank you, Chef. See you later.
Good night, Chef. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Thanks for joining.
Good night. I'm gonna send you a
Night.
message,
Cool.
Chef Catherine.
Send away.
Nighty night.
Night.